A womanizer is a man whose goal is to hook up with women, and generally it's as many women as possible. That goal is generally when he goes out at night, he's getting dressed in a way that is provocative, charming, and he's usually well groomed. And he has just a list of questions that he's memorized, and he knows how to put on this certain performance. He's very magnetic and charming, has a really good sense of humor, probably smiles a good amount, and makes great eye contact. He's really the quintessential perfect man to a woman, and that's what makes him so appealing. At the same time, he has that ulterior motive, which he won't tell a woman.
Welcome back to Dating Rehab with Anna Morgenstern. So excited to have Eric on today. He wrote a book that literally speaks true to any woman that's lived in New York, especially knows about the womanizer. And he is a reformed womanizer. He's going to give us thoughts on how to spot them, how to not fall prey to a womanizer. And so excited for this conversation. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Anna. I truly appreciate this opportunity to not only talk about my book, but to speak with you and speak to your audience about this very interesting character that lurks in the dark shadows of our society.
Would you say that the main character, Danny, is based on you, or is it a collection of people that you spent time with, or just the overall archetype of like that New York guy?
Yeah, so he's not me, but it is a version of myself that I had lived at one point in my life. But I then went deeper into like talking with my friends, who some of them are perpetually single men that are always searching for the next hookup. They go out to bars, they try to score some hottie, and taking that lifestyle and the ways that I remembered being, I wanted to create this archetype of a character of the womanizer and how he, one, operates, how he cheats on women, and then how eventually there's going to be a downfall. And like that come to Jesus moment, come to truth moments. And I want the book itself covers all three phases of that.
Even just hearing you talk about that, I feel my blood boiling a little bit because I I have been
Yeah.
prey to these type of guys. Do you still have friends today that you would consider womanizers? So some people don't grow out of this.
Yeah, they don't. Some people don't. Maybe they will eventually. Everybody has their own timeline, I guess.
And you are reformed, so you are in a relationship. You're no longer a womanizer.
No longer a womanizer, more of a lover boy, I guess, as you put it. But just more of a confident man that is willing, to settle down and believe in love and share love with people openly without having an ulterior motive.
Yeah, so let's talk about like, what exactly is a womanizer? Like, what are some of the characteristics or traits that would define a womanizer?
A womanizer is a man that whose goal is to hook up with women, and generally it's as many women as possible. That goal is generally when he goes out at night, he's getting dressed in a way that is provocative, charming, and he's usually well groomed. And he has just a list of questions that he's memorized, and he knows how to put on this certain performance. He's very magnetic and charming, has a really good sense of humor, probably smiles a good amount, and makes great eye contact. He's really like the quintessential perfect man to a woman, and that's what makes him so appealing. At the same time, he has that ulterior motive, which he won't tell a woman.
So the questions he has memorized, are they just, ways to get the woman to open up, or like what sort of questions does he have in his back pocket?
I would say that the approach is generally the first thing that he's got down. When I was doing it, it was always something very simple, and women may spot it all the time. Like, it's like, oh, you ask somebody for directions. That's the dumbest one. But it could be something as simple as, oh, I love those earrings. Where did you get them? That's a great stone color. That color looks great on you. It really brings out your smile. Something that's very personable, that feels very real. And it generally is. They're compliments, and they have to come from a place of like interest.
Yeah, I have to say, I tell my female clients all the time that if you go to like a bar or a party, the guy who's approaching you is probably not the guy you actually want to date because he's probably doing this to every woman. Not necessarily, but if a guy comes up to you very confidently and starts a conversation and he has that sort of like suave, charismatic sort of appeal, he's probably doing this to a lot of women. But I screen thousands of women and they all say they want that charismatic guy. But where's the line between being charismatic versus a womanizer? Okay, how can we spot that?
Womanizer is definitely something that plays the numbers game. I would definitely watch his eye contact. If they're talking to you and they're looking around a lot or glancing around a lot, or they check their phone frequently, it generally means that they're interested, but they may not be fully committed to, you know, this conversation. If they strike out per se, they'll move on quickly.
Yeah, they're not going to get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
I know. I tell a lot of my female clients too that if they're at a party, don't spend the entire night talking to one person because he could be in a relationship. He could be a womanizer. It might not necessarily lead to the love of your life. So give someone like 20 minutes tops of your time to chat. And if they want to continue the conversation, they'll ask you for your number. If they're kind of like, okay, bye, then okay, you didn't waste too much time with them. But I do feel like a womanizer, they will monopolize your time and make you feel like you are just the most special person on the planet. And you could be at a party and there's actually eligible people there for you to meet. But this one womanizer is like zoned in on you. And that way you wasted the whole night talking to someone that is just going to play you.
That's that's really interesting. I would say that I would do the opposite.
Really?
I would be very interested, but then I would walk away and then come back. They want you more when they can't have you, kind of thing. When you walk away, then all of a sudden you restart the conversation again. It's like, that's nice. If
Okay.
you're at a party, I mean, that's at a bar, it's generally they're going to get your number and then walk away. But if you're
Exactly.
at a party where they know people, generally you have mutual friends, then they probably will be more cordial and
Interesting.
come back.
Do you think that would work on men? Like if a woman like talks to you for a little bit and then walks away, comes back. Do you think that goes both ways?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to tell my ladies to try that and come back to me. The new term is really like fuck boys, the F boys. And I was thinking about it, like, are they the same thing as womanizers? And when I think of a womanizer, I think of someone like really dapper, like a sophisticated man. He's done this before, like he knows what he's doing. I feel like F boys are more this new age of man child where they're cute, they get away with a lot because they're so cute, but they're not really doing it in a sophisticated way. I think F boys don't even sometimes realize that they're being womanizers. It just kind of comes with the territory. Are you familiar with both?
Yes, I had to look it up before we talked about F voice because I grew up in the age of pickup artists and those were the womanizers of that time period and those are maybe the cheesiest of the guys because they
Right.
did all like the magic tricks and
The,
the
the
funny hats
boas.
and stuff
Yeah.
like any peacocking like
Hmm.
that term. But yeah, F boys, it's like the entertainment industry has latched onto like
Yeah.
the Bachelor and the Bachelorette lifestyle and made F Boy Island and created this subculture of super confident men that are really only looking for sex and using their abilities, their charm and their good looks to bed women, I guess, and date them, but not settle down. So yes, they would be a new age womanizer.
So, like, guys really can just sleep with a woman, no feelings, no remorse, never see her again, not even think about it again. Like, that actually happens.
Yeah, that definitely happens.
That's crazy to me because I feel like you're having this like great night together, you're sharing drinks and maybe you go to a couple of places and it feels so intimate. And then the next day you don't hear from them and you're just like, wait, did I make that up? Like I have so many friends that have had this similar experience where they just felt like they had the most amazing date and met the most amazing guy. And they're like, that fucker ghosted me.
Yeah, it's that sense of adventure, I
Mm.
think. I mean, men typically like to hunt. Olden times, it was like the idea of the hunt and then the catch kind of thing. And I think that still pervades through our culture today with this like womanizer has a goal in mind. He wants to sleep with somebody. And then he finds a woman as a target and she's giving him all the good signs that he's looking for. She's open, she's laughing, they're touching each other, the night progresses. And then when he gets what he wants, he can walk away knowing that he accomplished his goal and he can move on to the next target.
I was gonna say
Yes.
victim.
Yeah. I don't want to say victim, but yeah,
Because
it's
the
a little
woman is
bit.
thinking, "I had the best night of my life. Like, this is gonna be the start of something amazing," and he really is just thinking like, "I have a mission for tonight, and that's it. Mission's over. Don't even think about her again."
Typically, yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, it's very sad, I think.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
why I wrote a book about it.
I mean, do you is that 'cause women will say, like, "He's a sociopath." Like, we like to label people with different mental illnesses or diseases or all the things just to, like, make sense of it, but that doesn't just because is doing that, does that make him a sociopath, you think? Or is it really just like that's not necessarily what he is? He just that's what his mission in life and that's it.
think there's a sociopathic tendency to it. It's definitely narcissism and an ego trip that he's going on because what his thought process is not necessarily about the woman at all. It's about him and finding validation for himself. Maybe he has some sort of hidden wound that
Mm.
he hasn't figured out how to deal with. And he finds that if he can sleep with an attractive woman, that will fill that void. And it'll also make his life more exciting. Hence, like this idea of adventure and having this wonderful night, being able to schmooze this person into like having this, what leads to incredible sex or something like that. Maybe not incredible sex, but like it just makes his life more fulfilling in the short term.
You're so right, because I remember I read The Game too by Neil Strauss back in the day, and I remember reading this and thinking like, "Wait, these guys that seem cool were actually nerds?" I was like,
Yeah.
"They," and, you kind of realize, like, the guy that's that showy, cool, charismatic guy, like, he probably was kinda nerdy, or maybe he was heavy when he was younger, or you're right, they are trying to fulfill a fantasy of, getting with women that would have rejected them back in high school or middle school or whatever it was. I was in San Francisco. I used to live there, like 2010, 2011, that time frame. And we're at a very popular bar. It was called East Side West, RIP, in the marina. It was like Thursday night was like the dance party night. And I remember I was there with my bunch of friends. I'm in the bathroom. My friend comes in and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to save me. A guy wearing a feather boa won't stop talking to me." And I had just finished the book and I was like, "Wait, I know what this is." I was like, "Show me." And she dragged me over to the dance floor. And sure enough, there was a group of maybe 8, 9 guys. One's wearing a top hat, one has a feather boa. They're short, they're big, they're all
Yeah.
these like, like cast of characters. I can't even tell you. And then I look over and I see Mystery. And he was leading a group of men. Cause remember, he used to do that. That was part of his coaching. He would take them to bars and have them practice their new skills as, womanizers. And I couldn't believe it. I felt like I saw the biggest celebrity. And
He
I
had
was
a
like,
show on MTV too for that pickup artist.
yes, it was around that time frame, and it was amazing. I couldn't believe I saw it in person. I don't know if that ever really like, I guess it did work on some women. He said he got with, like, Paris Hilton, but I feel like real womanizers that are just, like, naturally charismatic don't go to those lengths. Like, they're not like the loser guys that are trying all these, it's usually guys that are very extroverted, good looking, and know they can get away with it. That's what I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're mostly nerdy people actually.
Really? So you do think it's like that they're trying to make up for something?
Yes. I mean, that's my origin story too. It's like I went throughout high school, never kissed. Oh, I kissed a girl at my senior year of high school, but I was a guy that got ditched at prom twice. Left at homecoming. After the winter formal, when I had my first kiss, the next day she broke up with me. Like, so there was definitely like this wound that I was blaming on women. That was really just like, maybe I was just, I
Mm.
don't know, not a nice person. Like I was a too nice of a guy. I didn't have a backbone, and also I was just super inexperienced, which makes sense for a teenager. And looking back now, I'm like twice that age now, and I'm like, that was, if only I gave myself more time, more patience, rather than being like, oh, I got to figure out how to be more romantic and stuff like that. I think I would not have gone through what the phase that I went.
Wow, that's really interesting. I know people that peaked in middle school and high school. I mean, I feel bad for the people peaked in middle school, but I know, like, they're like some really good looking eighth graders. They just did not age well. And at the
Oh,
time, though, because I also had crazy curly hair for like, I didn't know what to do with it, my Jufro. And I don't know, I was like not chunky, but I was a little round in middle school. And no boys liked me at all. And then in high school, when I went through puberty and I had my growth spurt and all that, all of a sudden I was like tall and skinny. And I learned that, there's a thing called a flat iron. And then I was cute. And I was like, wow, life is so much better on this side of things. At the time, it feels like it's the end of the world in that moment. Like you can't imagine yourself as an adult. If you're like, a little nerdy in high school and girls don't like you or boys don't like you, it feels like this is the end of the world.
well, all your friends are kissing girls and going on dates and having sex for the first time. And you're like, no, like what
Yeah.
lips feel like.
I don't think any high school was actually very good. So you probably saved yourself. It's so true, like, it's hard to imagine that, like, one day I'm gonna be an adult and I'm gonna be, handsome and I can do my own, like, you don't think that far ahead, but that's so funny. Looking at you now, I can't imagine you as being, like, a little dweeb. You're just so
Oh
cute.
my gosh.
I imagine you that.
Talk about a glow up, right? Like, I was 5 feet tall throughout high school and super round. I played video games all the time. I was on this science club, and yeah, the glow up happened my senior year of high school, and then it got better in college, obviously. But my personality got a lot worse.
I actually think you brought up a good point because I feel like womanizers, the ones that are making up for a wound from their past, they had to develop good personalities because they weren't getting away with just being, on the football team or whatever in high school and college. So they had to develop some humor or, having that more charismatic type personality. And then as they gotten older and they like learned they can pump some iron at the gym and get some muscles and dress better, they're actually become so desirable to women because they have both sides of the looks and the personality. But because they're trying to get back at women who,
Yeah. Yeah, it feels a little bit like that.
so it's kind of funny because they become this like perfect man, but they have that wound they're
Perfect.
trying to, right. But for us women, when we see a guy who looks so confident and is dressed well and he speaks well and he's funny, it's just game over. Like, we're going to be yours. But on the flip side, like, that's why I love watching dating reality shows, especially Love Island, because you get all these hot people in a villa that some of them have always been hot. Usually the first person to leave is the tall, hot guy that never had to have a personality. And he's shocked because he usually can walk into the room and girls will fling to him. But because he's in a space where everyone there is hot, the girls kind of realize, like, oh, his chat sucks. Like, he has no banter, as they say in the UK version.
Okay. Yeah.
The tallest, hottest one is usually the first to go. Like, no girls connect with him because he didn't have to ever develop that part of his personality. So that's interesting with the womanizers that really cultivated that part in them when they were like the nerdy dweeby guys. They had to get funny. They were really smart.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I really never thought of it that way. I always thought it was like that cool football captain that's always been this womanizer, but not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I hate tall guys, because life is so easy for them. They can walk into a room and be like, "Oh yeah, you're just tall. That's cool." And it's true. A lot of them don't have much of a personality, and that is can be a real big detriment when it comes to like talking to the opposite sex because they need more. It's been too easy. So like learning a little bit of charm or a little bit of banter and humor will definitely go a long way to
Mhm.
helping a guy that's struggling to talk to women even if they're tall, tantamount to getting better or even just dressing better, like shaving.
Online, there's so many different male dating coaches, and they've all graduated from a different male dating coach program. So they were like the nerd, like kind of like the modern day mystery. They were like the nerds that didn't get girls, and they went through this like coaching program, and now they're coaching other people. And there's a couple that I follow just because I can't help it, but it's funny. And I'm thinking, oh my god, it's a blind leading the blind. And I'm thinking it doesn't have to be like you don't have to
Just be
trick.
hot.
No, but seriously, if you want to get with women, just take care of yourself. You
Yeah.
That's, like, really the biggest part of it, like, get into good shape. It's not even about how you look, but if a woman sees someone who doesn't have good hygiene, is overweight, doesn't take care of themselves, we're not going to be attracted to that, more so because we feel like that guy doesn't respect himself, and we wanna see that a man respects himself, that he knows how to take care of himself, and I had one client. He works in finance. He has a law degree. I mean, he's tall, he's good looking. But I asked him, "Where do you feel like there's like where's the hang up? Like why do we have issues here?" And he was saying like he just was lacking some confidence. And I asked him like, "Where's that come from?" He's like, he kept mentioning one thing again and again to me. He's like, "Well, I live by my office. It's just a crash pad. I don't really care about my apartment. I'm not really there much. I work a lot." Kept mentioning his apartment, how he was like downplaying it and wasn't very proud of the space he lived in. And I told him, I was like, "Well, do you have like a nice bedspread? Do you have some art on the walls?" Like, it doesn't take much to have your apartment feel like a home because if you don't feel confident in your space, you're not going to be able to bring a woman over. And that's kind of the goal, right? Like, you want to be dating someone, you eventually want to have them come to your space. And I could just tell, like, nothing on the walls, no two matching
Yeah.
plates. He just didn't invest in his home at all. And I told him, I was like, just make some little, like, you can afford it. First of all, you make plenty of money, but it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. Like, invest a couple $100s just to get some nice bedding and then get some plates that match. get some nice art for the walls. You can get prints. My husband has an art gallery. I'll send you all the stuff that you need.
Yeah.
And, you will feel more confident. I actually gave that advice to a friend of mine. We were at his apartment for a little pregame before going out. And the whole time he was like apologizing for this was broken and that. And I told him, I was like, stop apologizing. We're your friends. We don't care what your apartment looks like. But if you feel so insecure about it, like make some changes. And I think it was at least 5 or 6 months had gone by. And he messaged me and he was like, I took your advice and I started investing in little things for my apartment. I just got like some nice candles and I got, yeah, even forget what he
Yeah.
got. He said he now feels really proud of his space and he got a girlfriend. I was like, well,
Fancy that.
yeah, I do think like how the space that you live in is so important. And if you like don't take care of yourself physically, we're assuming your place is going to be not nice either. And we don't want to go there. And that's what I tell like a lot of my male clients will ask me for advice of like, what should I wear for this date? Like you're actually fine in that department. You don't have to like over stress about those things. It's really if you feel like you don't take care of yourself. I don't know if you follow any of these like funny modern male dating coaches, but the advice that I hear, they still tell you like ask woman what time it is and then ask for her number. It's like, no, that's been retired. We don't do
Yeah.
that.
Asking for directions. Yeah.
And I've had that to me recently.
And it's legit. Like I've definitely asked somebody for directions and gotten blown off in the streets of New York. And I'm like, oh man, she thought I was hitting on her. I'm just trying to find this bar.
We all have iPhones. We can figure unless you're like an old
Yeah.
one. No, I'm not helping you. Um,
I get it. Yeah. It was just like blind intention. Like I literally like, when you're in the skyscrapers and your phone just cannot figure out which direction you're at. It was that moment where I'm like, this bar is supposed to be around here. And I keep walking the wrong way. So I was just like, do you know where this is? Either way, I think harkening back to what you were saying, and what womanizers have that is so charming too is personality. So giving your apartment a makeover, even putting art on the wall, stuff like that is just a sign that you have interests other than like her or exterior things. Or my recommendation for somebody that would want to be more interesting or more appealing to women would be to look inside yourself and try to reconnect with what you like to do and what you like. So it will definitely help bring out more of your own personality into your own space. And then also, let's say you want to get into candle making or pottery, then all of a sudden you have a new hobby that you can try out. And I bet you'll meet at least a woman there. It doesn't
yeah,
need to be the love of your life, but at least you'll be out there talking to people and socializing in a different capacity where you're not trying to like hit the nail on the head. I need a girlfriend. I need a girlfriend. You're having like, I want to experience and expand my personality and my life and try new things.
yeah. You just said something that's so important too is a desperation that is so unattractive. Womanizers, they don't feel desperate. Like they feel like they have plenty of options. And like the fact that you're getting their attention, you feel lucky. But if a guy is coming on way too strong and he's like, I don't know, something about it feels inauthentic. How do womanizers do such a good job of making it feel genuine, even though it's not genuine, but they do a good job of it? Like, how do they do that?
It's banter. It's just listening. It really is just listening to somebody talk. They're great listeners. Communication is a forte of theirs, and we can go on and have a conversation, and just one topic leads to another, and you all of a sudden you've spent the entire night with them, or at least a half an hour talking to them, and you're like, oh, this is great. This person seems really interested in who I am.
Gosh, can't tell you how many times I've fallen victim to that. But
I think we all have.
I know. Well, now that we have more of like the F boys, more of what people are talking about, and I have so many different women that tell me that men aren't serious, they're all F boys. I mean, that can't be true. There's plenty of guys out there that do want relationships, but if they're not the ones hitting at you at the bar, then how can a woman approach a man that she thinks is cute at a party or event that wouldn't feel too thirsty? Is it something
Yeah,
similar just,
right.
like, going up to them and saying, like, "Hi, I just wanna introduce myself. My name is Anna," or does she need something cute to say? Like, what would work on you?
Hi. Would definitely just work on me. Hi, what's your name? Like, just
Keep it simple.
why are you here tonight? Like, why are you, who do you know here? Like,
I
and then
just
just start the conversation from there.
yeah. I know because I have so many female clients that they want to approach guys more because I tell them like the good guys probably aren't approaching. If they see you with a group of friends, they're going to think, oh, you're here with your friends. I don't want to, encroach on your time with them. They'll make excuses not to say anything because they don't want to come off as womanizers or creepy. But I'm like, yeah, just go up to people and say hi. And yeah, I feel like if you're trying to do like a little trick or trying to be like too cute and come across a little cringy, if a guy thinks you're cute, he's going to think you're cute and he's not going to really care what you say, right?
I think so. Yeah, if he'll care what you say. He should care what you say. If a guy's talking to you and you're cute, you be
Like, there's not much I feel like if a guy thinks you're cute, there's not much you can say wrong. I guess if you're being, like, totally
right.
crazy, if you go up to them and say hi, and if he thinks you're cute, even if he thinks you're not cute, he'll probably still be flattered. It's not like he's gonna give you his back and be like, "Oh, don't talk to me," right?
Well, yeah, definitely. He'll give you the time of day, and I mean, men are just like women. You could do the opposite. I feel like, and maybe you can talk more about that. But just be interested. Just be interested in something. It's the same like when I would say, "Oh, I like your earrings." It would be like, "Oh, I like your watch. Where did you get it? What drew you to that? Is there a story behind that?" And just be open minded. I guess.
I always tell women, if you're talking to a guy and you think he's cute and you wanna kinda show that you're interested, you just lightly touch his arm and be like, "Oh, wow, do you work out?" And he's gonna think like, "Oh, like, yeah, I
Yeah, I'm so big and strong. Yeah, if you can harken into like the hunter lifestyle, that's still like, oh, I'm so strong. Is like what you definitely want to tap into. Like just the feeling of touch can do a lot for a man because that's generally what we look for or want.
yeah, exactly." Did you ever do the dating apps time, or did you miss the whole dating apps era?
I have never been on a dating app.
Wow.
I don't. I see people with it, and I like watch them swipe and stuff, and I'm just like, how does that even
I know.
work?
That's like, I think, magnified womanizers. Like, it's given them a platform really to find victims more easily.
Yeah, I told my friends about it, or my friends asked me, "Oh, why aren't you on the apps?" I'm like, "It would be like shooting fish in a barrel. Like that would be too easy. Like it's and it. I don't think I would at that time period. Like I'm not single, so it doesn't really matter. But at that time period, I was just like, it doesn't seem authentic, and partially I feel that way now. But I have had friends that have met their partner. They've gotten married off of dating apps, and so
Mhm.
there is a good to it. But yeah, you have to watch out more than
Yeah.
ever.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you, like, there is one guy in particular I matched with twice over the course of, like, 2 years, and he did the same thing to me twice. I couldn't believe I fell for it a second time, but he was, like, very cute, and he was very chatty, and I think that's, like, a clear sign of a womanizer. He's very, very chatty, he was always responding, even wanted to, like, call me and was just, like, a lot of communication, but no plan of meeting. And finally, after,
Mm.
like, a week, I was like, "Okay, like, are we gonna meet?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm driving to see my parents in New Jersey," or whatever it was. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, when you get back." He's like, "Oh, yeah, definitely." And, wanted to talk to me the whole time he was driving. It was a lot. And then, of course, he got back at the first time, the excuse was, "Oh, I have to take my car, maintenance, something happened with my car." I was like, "Oh, okay. So you can't meet for a date?" He's like, "Yeah, sorry." And then just never heard from him again. I'm like, "Okay." And then a year and a half, 2 years goes by, and we rematch on an app, and he sent me a like he didn't know me. I was like, "We've talked before." And he's like, "Oh, of course I remember you. Yeah, just back then wasn't good. There was a girl that I was still back and forth." Like, he had a whole excuse. Again, constantly chatting me, wanted to FaceTime, and he's like, "Yeah, I just got this dog. Look how cute my puppy is, da, da, da." We had a plan to meet again. Sure
Yeah.
enough, the dog got sick, had to cancel,
Really?
never heard from me, and I was like, "Okay." I, like, can't believe I fell for this twice. Like,
Yeah,
why
at least you didn't go any further.
no, I've never actually never met this person in real I don't even know if he's I know we FaceTime, so I know he's a real person, but it's like, why would guys even do this? Like, why would he just is he just bored and wanted someone to talk to? Like, that behavior I never understood, but I do think that's a kind of womanizer type behavior in a way.
Definitely, yeah, just starting conversations. So he probably has at least 10 other conversations because in dating apps, they're just on your phone. So you can just message whoever responds. And I've seen guys just swipe. I don't know which one is, I think swipe right is a good thing, or you're like, oh, I want to meet
But
them.
right is yes.
Yeah. So I've watched as men like on the train will just swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, just because it's a numbers game. It's
Mhm.
like whoever contacts them or matches with them, and it really like gamifies the system
Mhm.
of dating, which I've always found was awkward.
Yeah, it's like, why did he need to talk to me so much? I'm like, really, it's like, is he really the validation that he needs that he can get my attention? I never understood that. I honestly, I want to meet this person and just ask him, why the hell did you need to do that to me twice?
He's got 3 different names. He lives in 2 different cities.
I don't even know if there was a
He's
dog.
6'4".
I know. I know. It's like so many women I talk to, like they want answers to some of these behaviors, but in reality, it was shitty behavior, and why he did it, I guess, doesn't really matter. But we just want to know, like, why? Why did he do that?
He's keeping his options open. So you are one of 10, and yeah, it
So
sucked.
true.
But it then becomes like, oh, if you show more interest, like maybe he wasn't actually that interested in you, no offense. But like if you want to move forward with a date where he feels like he could smash, like he's gonna do that. In prepping for this, I was reading the seduction community on Reddit, and I haven't done this kind of research in a very long time. It's just like this guy would lure women to his house, and that was like how he was hooking up with all these girls. It's just like it sounded like that was what that guy was trying to do. Like eventually he's going to invite you over to meet his dog, and
Uh-huh.
then it's a quick lay, and then you would never see him again. You
I
never
know.
hear from him again.
I don't go to his apartment on the first date.
No, never.
And COVID was a funny time for dating because, I mean, you were lucky you had a girlfriend then, but COVID was crazy because you kind of had to go to people's apartments for a first date because like nothing was open. We were told that you're going to die if you don't wash your groceries. It was crazy times. So you would actually sometimes go to someone's apartment for a first date because you were doing all this FaceTiming. You felt like you really knew them. But in reality, it's still a stranger. You don't actually know them. Yeah, just don't go to their apartment on a first date, no matter
Yeah, it's
no matter the
safety. Think about your safety.
guy plans a date that's near where he lives, that's a huge red flag. Either he's lazy or
Interesting,
he
yeah.
just wants to get laid. So, like, if
See,
you
I
live
would
in Pittsburgh and he's in, financial district and he's like, "Oh, there's a great place down by me. I really wanna show you. You're gonna love it." No, it's a
yeah, because it's
huge.
one step. Like, it's oh, by the way, my apartment's just a block away. You wanna see my cat? He's
I
very
know.
cute. I think advice to women when combating a womanizer would be just follow some very simple rules. Don't sleep with the guy the first time you meet him, whether it's out at a bar or on a first date. And then I would say also don't sleep with them the second time. It's like age old advice. Wait until the third date and then explore like the body if you need or physical contact that way. Unless the signs are right, for like the second date, but don't ever do it on the first because you got to dangle the carrot for the guy.
Exactly. Matthew Hussey actually said something great once. He said that to sleep with a guy the first date, you would have to be doing something so insane where this, emotional connection is formed. Say, like you're hiking and you're almost fell off a cliff and he saved you. And you guys have this crazy emotional connection after going through something like
This
that,
movie moment.
then you can sleep with him. But unless you've been through, unless you had this kind of emotional breakthrough,
Yeah.
you really shouldn't sleep with someone yet. And I totally agree with that. It's less about the actual physical act. It's more about how we handle it. Like with women, when we sleep with someone, we have chemicals that release that tell us we want to mate for life. Men don't have the same experience. And you could be thinking you're in love with someone and you don't even know their last name, or you don't know anything about their family or anything about them.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yes, you have to protect yourself from that. But definitely, if you've been a victim of womanizers, I actually don't want to say victim anymore because I do believe in taking accountability. You know, that site, Are We Dating the Same Guy? Have you heard of that?
Not no.
Okay. It was a Facebook group. And then, of course, a man turned it into an app called the T app, where women can disclose information about men that they've gone out with, especially from dating apps. And you can like post photos, you can comment, and women have found their cheating husbands and boyfriends and fiancés on there. You'll kind of see women will say, like, oh, this guy's the worst. We had a great first date. I slept with him, never heard from him again. And like labeling him like this awful person, which, yes, so that's not nice behavior. But you still decided to put yourself in that situation. So you kind of have to take accountability. And if you didn't want to, potentially be in that scenario, then you can only control what you do. You only keep your side of the street clean, as they say. You can never control what anyone else does. But then you'll hear women say, like, well, I have one friend where she slept with her husband on the first date and they're happily married. I'm like, yes, there's always exceptions to
Yeah.
the rule. But that was probably when they were like in their early 20s. It's a little bit different. Now,
And maybe they had a movie moment too. You never know, like collected trauma, like shared trauma. Like COVID would be a prime example of that, where you then generally relate better with somebody that you were with during COVID.
Exactly. So, really, can a womanizer turn into a lover boy? That is the question. How did you come to the point where you're like, okay, I'm done with this womanizing. I want to be in a relationship?
So, from a female perspective, I would say you can't change a man on any level. I think a man can't change a woman on any level too to meet what they would want in a partner. But to change a womanizer to, a lover boy, for me, it took a lot of introspection. I started writing the book 12 years ago, and that was it. At the height of my womanizing abilities, I started realizing once I started examining what I was doing that I was hurting people. I was hurting women in particular. I was doing it as the game. And when you look at dating as a game, there's winners and losers. And when you're the man who's trying to sleep with as many women as possible, the women become losers.
Mm.
And that's sad to treat anybody that way. And then I had like a turning point moment where I was out with a group of friends and we couldn't get a table, but the bar was open for six people, crazy enough. And so we were sitting three on one part of the corner and three on the other side of the corner. And on opposite ends, I was sitting on one side and this woman was sitting on the other opposite end. So had really good eye line with her. I could see her and I was, hanging out. We were chatting, like conversation was great. And I would make eye contact with her. She was too far away to actually talk to. And like, oh, I'm going to talk to her after the dinner's over and just, chat her up a little bit, maybe get her number. And it turns out so I approach her after our dinner and I'm like, hey, what's your name? And she tells me her name and I had slept with her a year before and I had no idea who she was. And I was
She
just, and
remembered
it
you.
was, she remembered me and she didn't, cry, slap me, do anything crazy. But she just gave me that look of like utter disappointment. And I just realized how badly I had hurt her because we had dated for like 2 months. And then I ghosted her. I went on vacation, came back. She texted me once and I was just like, nah, I'm busy. Never thought she never crossed my mind again, basically. And then I saw her again, didn't even recognize her until she said her name. And I was like, oh my God, seriously, Eric? Like you're doing this to people. Like you hurt her. Like, for no reason. You didn't even have a conversation with her saying like, hey, I'm not that interested in you. Didn't let her down easy. You just vanished. And I could just read it in her look and body language. She definitely erased me from her mind when she walked out that door. She was like head high, like, I'm gone. And that moment was like, okay, there's more to dating and more to life than trying to collect phone numbers, sleep with as many women as possible, put the notches on the belt kind of scenario. And it ended up being like this sort of treadmill for me where I was just like partying all the time, getting numbers, sleeping with a lot of people. Looking back at that time in my life, even while like writing this book, I realized everything was empty. I gained nothing from that time period except for losing friendships with people because I would sleep with their friends and then I've never contact those girls again or women again. So that ruined relationships. Every conversation I had was on a very surface level because, I can be very charming. I could talk to people, but I never went very deep. We wouldn't spend a weekend together out in the countryside, getting to know each other better. I'd eventually sleep with them and then leave. And then I'd do it again and again and again. And it's a treadmill that doesn't stop unless you unless you stop it yourself. And when I realized that I was seeking some sort of validation for some wound that I was carrying inside me, this boredom I had for life, this confusion about what love is and what it isn't and what it can be. I was just trying to satisfy this ego that I had. So it had to be me to stop it. So going back to the question of like, how do you turn a womanizer into a lover boy is you can't because you can't change that person. They have to realize what they're doing is wrong, but you can be there for the ride if you want to. It's a messy ride,
Yeah.
and you can, like, I had a friend guide me more towards being feminine conscious and like steer me in a better direction. And, but yeah, it was definitely up to me to change in order for that to happen. And if there's anybody listening that's a womanizer that wants a girlfriend long term or have a deeper connection with people, look at yourself first and realize that maybe it's you and not them that's the problem and that you're looking for the wrong thing.
That you just made such a good point. You can't change someone. And I have had so many friends and myself where we were desperately hoping that the guy that we really liked we would be the one that would make them stop their womanizing ways. We would be the ender of the F-boy
Yeah.
era. And sometimes you can be, but they have to come to that decision. It's not like you are so special that he's gonna change his ways for you. It's more about he feels like he's doing something that isn't aligned with his morals or values anymore, and he recognizes that he needs to make a change. It's not necessarily like, "You are so amazing," which I think women kinda think like, "I'm gonna be so great."
Yeah, it's the ego trap, like
Yeah, yeah, both ends.
yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Had so much fun with this chat with you. I feel like you healed some wounds for me from my past. But don't worry, I have
Hopefully, yeah.
things, it's okay. But there's just so many times you're like, why did it's just good to know that it's not about you, it's about them. And that's really, what it boils down to. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and if you've succumbed to a womanizer's charm, just realize you probably had a great time that night. It was wonderful, and you know what a charming and confident man is, and, there's definitely men that don't have ulterior motives out there. So don't let one bad apple spoil, um, the rest of mankind for you. We're not all
exactly.
all trying to sleep with as many women as possible. A lot of men are just, you know, trying to have a great time, but also meet somebody that they want to connect with.
Love that. So tell people where they can get your book, anything else that you want us to know.
Yeah, so Women in Whiskey is out now. It is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. The ebook is also available online, and it's a fun little cover. It's called Women in Whiskey. So it's about seduction and self destruction, and it's about a very confused man named Danny Clark who's a womanizer, and he's searching for meaning and late night hookups and empty whiskey bottles, which are all the wrong places.
Mhm. Thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Anna. This has been a great time. And I love the podcast. I think your episodes are really enlightening, and you definitely are out to help people.
I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah.
We need more love in the world, and I think helping people find their match is definitely going to bring more love.
You're preaching to the choir. Thank you. All right,
Thank
I'll
you.
see you later. Bye.
Bye.